guys, welcome back. It's Josh with the Financial Advisor Car Guy. And today's episode, I just wanted to spend a little bit of time thinking about our next project. As I had mentioned in a prior video, I do have that 65 Mustang that sold on eBay going away. And now while that doesn't always mean I have to have a next project, it does mean I start thinking about it. And so again, the purpose for this video is to kind of gauge your interest as the viewer's perspective, if you will, to see what type of car you'd like for me to build. Is it maybe a 50s something, a 70s something, or is it a present day something that, you know, maybe doesn't need a full restoration, but just needs some fixing up or even some cosmetic upgrades? Not opposed to doing something like that. In episode 1, I shared with you a little bit about my 1968 Mustang, and that might give you an idea of what a classic restoration may or may not look like. When I mention a modern day restoration, I don't necessarily mean stripping the paint and putting on new fenders and fixing rust and all those things. No, what I mean is just upgrading it visually. And so whether it's adding a spoiler and a splitter, or a set of wheels and spacers, or, you know, upgrading the interior and the sound system and whatever else those might be, you know, things that can help usability of the car, comfort of the car, appeal of the car, without really changing the car a whole bunch. Those are kind of things that I look at occasionally too. And so over the summer, I picked up a 2002 BMW Z3, and my wife and I used it as our daily driver throughout the week. We'd commute to and from work in it, top up or top down. It was a lot of fun, great little car. But when I bought it, it needed some work. It ran pretty well. It had a check engine light on, so I was able to fix a couple of things under the hood. You know, kept the wheels and stuff stock, but from a visual perspective, I added a spoiler, I added a front splitter, I added some, you know, little things here and there to kind of upgrade the visual appearance of the car, which in turn really made it more fun and attractive to drive. And so what I'm going to do here is show a few pictures of the car the day I got it, and then basically the day I sold it. And then we'll kind of dive into what those numbers look like. So you'll notice that not every upgrade I did was mechanical. A lot of it was indeed visual. You wouldn't be able to tell what I did mechanically if you looked under the hood. A lot of it was new gaskets and hoses and pipes and things like that. The visual stuff is a little more obvious, as you saw, you know, some of the M Sport decals and that rear spoiler and splitter and things like that. So what I did end up doing was putting together a quick spreadsheet. I'm going to read you some of the upgrades that I did to the car, and then we'll talk about what I paid for the car versus what I sold the car for. So you can get an idea of a fairly typical turnaround for me. But, you know, based on what I had to do to the car to get it, again, usable, the factory stereo was locked. And if you guys are familiar with European cars, they require a radio key, and they're not always that easy to get. The dealer will charge you up the wazoo for it. And, you know, and even then, it's still a stock stereo. And so the car had a cassette deck from 2002. And so to me, that was not what I wanted. I wanted an MP3 player that I could stream, I could sync my phone to it and listen to Pandora or whatever I wanted to do. And so that was one of the first upgrades I did. One of the next upgrades I did was the new interior. I bought some custom fitted seat covers on Amazon. They weren't very expensive, but they were form fitted to the factory seats. So to the naked eye, you know, to the average Joe, if you will, they looked rather stock. It was really pretty impressive. I was very happy with the quality of those seat covers. I put new kidney grills on the front end. So, you know, the traditional BMW logo sits between what they call the kidney grills. The grills that were on the car, one of them was popping out. It was chipped and cracked. And the other one was really badly sun faded and dented. So, you know, a new pair of those, not very expensive, but it really cleaned up the visual front end of the car. I also bought some touch-up paint that was the factory color code and was able to touch up all sorts of rock chips and things on the front bumper, on the front of the hood, around the grille, even on the passenger side of the car. Had a couple of rock chips that I'm not really sure how they got there, but you know, so those were easy to remedy with that touch-up paint. One thing that needed remedied pretty quickly was in regards to the soft top. Now, the soft top itself was in really good condition. It went up and down, the power worked, everything looked good, no rips or tears. The window, being 18, almost 19 years old, did show some wear. I mean, it was a little tinged, kind of a yellowish color, but still clear. You could still see out the back window when you're driving down the road. Now, beyond that, when the top was down, we were missing the top boot cover. What that boot cover does is it keeps the road debris, dirt and leaves and all sorts of junk out of the collection well where the top sits. And the first couple weeks I had the car, every time I put the roof back up, I'd get rained on with, dirt, whether it be, leaves and dust and things like that. And, driving to and from my office, I can't be getting dust and dirt on my suit. So that was something I really wanted to fix right away. So I ordered a boot lid cover. And then I also, because we kept the top down a lot during the summer, I went ahead and ordered the wind deflector that goes over the roll bars. The idea there is it reduces the wind noise and everything inside the cabin when the top is down. So we found that was very, very valuable. And actually I ended up buying 2 of them by not necessarily mistake. I ordered one off of Etsy. It was a kind of a DIYer's version of that deflector. And it was on back order. And so after I'd ordered it, I waited and waited and waited. And I actually ended up finding a stock OEM one in the meantime on eBay. And so I ordered that. It arrived in record time, and I put that on the car immediately. By the time I received the one off of Etsy, I didn't need it any longer. So I ended up selling that on eBay. And I listed it for what I paid for it. But after a couple of bids, I actually made a little money on it. So that was kind of cool. Other things that I did to the car were little odds and ends, right? The glove box latch, vacuum hoses, like I said, right? Some other air injection hoses, those M Sport decals. I did put wheel spacers on the car, on the rear. The back tires were tucked a little bit more than I like. And that Z3 that I had was the 3-liter straight 6. And so if you talk to any BMW guy, he's going to tell you that M54 engine is the one to get, maybe even more so than the M engine from a reliability standpoint and, long-term drivability and everything without lacking too much power. The M engine was tuned a little bit differently, but it's the same block. And so that M54 3-liter non-M car was actually really probably the best car that they built from a reliability standpoint. And so anyway, it was a very desirable car, and I got a screaming deal on it. I'm not gonna get into how I found it or how I got it. I made a trade for it is more or less what it came down to. And what I was into the trade was not very much money. But at the end of the day, when the car was all said and done and we were heading into fall, my wife and I decided we didn't really want to park the car and store it all winter long. We get snow here in Oregon, and it's just too nice of a car to leave sitting out in the weather. So I put it on eBay, and the first time I listed it, I did sell it. A buyer was in Georgia, I believe, and ended up not following through with the buy. He had a family member pass, and life changed for him in a hurry. So I did end up just relisting the car, and a buyer in Portland found it and bought it, and was real easy to work with, really nice guy. But when we dig into the dollars, I spent about $600 all in all, upgrading and fixing the car. I was really strategic in how I was spending money and what I was buying and from where, trying to find the best deal I could. There were a few stock parts, for example, the radio. Just because it was locked and I couldn't use it the way I wanted to use it, didn't mean that somebody out there didn't want an original radio for their car. So I did join a Z3 forum on Facebook, and sure enough, somebody was looking for my exact radio. So I sold it to them, and that was great. I recouped all of the money that the new deck that I put in cost. So the radio was like a free upgrade, which was super, super cool. There were a few other things along the way that I didn't lose money on or that I was really strategic in buying. And so all in all, $600 into the car on top of the trade price or purchase price. And then I sold the car for, let me look here on my little spreadsheet. Sold the car on eBay, netting of all fees, netting of all the dollars I was into the car, netting everything. I cleared $4,700 on that car. So I got to drive it for maybe 4 months and get paid about $1,200 a month while doing so. So that's a great example of what it can look like to, find the right car, do the right upgrades, find the right buyer, and enjoy the car along the way. So, again, the purpose of this video wasn't so much to share that with you guys initially, but as the conversation progressed, that's the way it went. The real reason for this video was to discuss what should the next project look like. I have a few ideas of cars, trucks, and things that I want to build over time, but as far as the next project goes, I don't want to just find the next thing. I want to find the right thing. So please comment below and let me know what it is you'd love to see me build. Again, it can be anything and from any year. Don't worry about it being an old car, a new car, or anywhere in between. Just whatever you guys would love to see built, let me know. And remember, may every investment you make be a good one. Till next time.